After 6 months from when I first used the iPhone 16 Pro, it's time for my long-term review. What is the iPhone 16 Pro really like long-term, and if you should still consider it or look at some other options they have released since the iPhone 16 Pro came out. So this day in life, I'll be doing things a little bit differently. I'll be taking you through pretty much everything I like and I don't like about every aspect of the iPhone 16 Pro. And it's currently 9:38, our battery percentage is 100%. Let's get into this day in the life. So today we've got a pretty packed and full-on day. I have a couple of errands to get done and we'll be heading off to the city. I'm going to be taking the iPhone 16 Pro for a bit of a spin. Honestly, after using Android for the last few months, going back to the iPhone 16 Pro has been a little bit weird. I'll explain as we go throughout the day, but let's get going on with the day in the life. Okay, first off, let's chat about the display on the iPhone 16 Pro. The iPhone 16 Pro is equipped with a pretty high-end display, and there's quite a lot of things that I quite like about it. One of the best features of the iPhone 16 Pro's display is definitely the colors. It has Dolby Vision and the colors look pretty accurate and amazing for watching pretty much any type of content on here. Another thing that I did notice about the iPhone 16 Pro's display, especially coming from an Android, is that while I usually run Android phones at Full HD resolution, since I don't really benefit from the QHD, I do notice that the iPhone 16 Pro always runs at max resolution, which is about a 1200p resolution. I honestly don't see much of a difference since it's at 6.3 inches, but it is important to note. The adaptive refresh rate on the iPhone 16 Pro is actually still one of the best out there on pretty much any smartphone, going from 1 to 120 Hz with pretty much no issues, and you really don't notice it when it goes down below 120 Hz. And when it comes to the brightness, it's still pretty good, reaching 2000 nits across the whole screen, which is still pretty consistent compared to a lot of other Android phones that only allow the peak brightnesses on certain parts of the screen. So having full 2000 nits on the whole screen is actually pretty good, and it's enough for viewing in pretty much most lighting conditions, even in direct sunlight like now. But there are technically other bright smartphones out there, but still good for pretty much most viewing conditions. So in conclusion, the iPhone 16 Pro's display is still pretty good, but not the very best in any smartphone out there, which is kind of what you expect from an iPhone. But for most people, I think this is still going to look and feel very high-end. Alright, and now it's time to head to the city. Alright, now we've just parked my car at the train station, and before we continue, if you're looking for a clear slim case, then you should definitely check out the Tech Premium case who are sponsoring this video. And they've managed to make a case that doesn't feel like a case. Let me explain. It's super slim and lightweight with no bulk and no weird grip. It actually has a very natural case's feel while also showing off the design of the iPhone. The clarity of the PC plastic makes it look like I'm not using a case at all while actually protecting it. And MagSafe, all here, and super strong, so no falling off when I'm putting it on the dashboard or when I'm trying to charge it at night. All the cutouts are precisely matched to the actual phone design so that all the buttons are super easy to click, including the camera control button. Even the speaker holes are precisely cut for maximum volume. If you're after that clean, minimal, caseless but protected vibe, then the Tech Premium case nails all of that. So if you're interested in checking out the Tech Premium case for yourself, make sure to check the link in my description. It's currently now 12:57, our battery percentage is at 68%. Now it's time to get some lunch. Alright, so it's now 3:09 and our battery percentage is at 61%. But let's talk about the cameras on the iPhone 16 Pro. And to be honest, the 16 Pro cameras are a bit of a mixed bag. I do think they're still pretty high-end compared to most phones, but there's a few things I want to talk about. So first off, one of the features that I do think is quite unique to the iPhone 16 Pro is this periscope camera, which is a 5x optical zoom, which doesn't really exist on any compact phone these days. The only other compact phone that I can think of that has a 5x optical periscope zoom will be the Google Pixel 9 Pro. But other than that, most compact phones these days only have a 2.6 or 3x. Obviously, on the Ultra phones from Samsung or Oppo, they all have the 5x, but I think it's quite nice to have that on a small phone like this. Now, the issue with that is that it's a 12 megapixel sensor, which is pretty low end compared to a lot of other smartphones out there. Even the Google Pixel 9 Pro has a 48 megapixel resolution on their periscope lens. But regardless, I still think it's a very nice addition that you don't get on many phones at this size. But when you look at the main and ultra-wide lens, they are still pretty high-end and pretty comparable to most other smartphones in this price category. But they aren't anything too special. Now, I do find it pretty interesting that the hardware specs on the iPhone 16 Pro are kind of falling behind the competition in quite a lot of ways. The ultra-wide periscope sensors are technically smaller than most phones out there in this price category. But what makes up for it is the processing. It's very neutral, which is good because it makes everything more true to life, but it also means that you can definitely tell when you're taking photos on an iPhone compared to other smartphones which have started to emulate more of a mirrorless camera effect. Now, when it comes to videos, the iPhone 16 Pro is still one of the best smartphones out there for pretty much any type of video content creation. And with the ability to shoot up to 4K 60 on all the different lenses, and also being able to shoot in long encoding as well, it's a big bonus for the iPhone 16 Pro. I still think that this is still one of the best phones you can get for pretty much any video creation if you're doing social media and whatnot, and pretty much is the best part of the iPhone 16 Pro cameras. I actually do think the photography isn't as good as the video capabilities here, but if you're looking for a phone with good video capabilities, the iPhone 16 Pro is one of the best to go for. So while the iPhone 16 Pro cameras are still a really good package, they are falling behind in the photography department where the sensor sizes just can't keep up with a lot of the other competitors. But for video, this is still one of the best options in the smartphone world. It's now 3:54, battery percentage is at 53%. Since my friends are playing a bit of pool, let's try out the camera video capabilities on the 16 Pro. Okay, so it's now currently 440 and our battery percentage is at 48%. Let's talk about the performance on the iPhone 16 Pro. Performance is powered by the A18 chipset along with 8GB of RAM and tops pretty much most benchmarking charts. But the question is 8GB enough in 2025 compared to pretty much every other smartphone which has at least 12 or 16GB of RAM? Performance on the iPhone 16 Pro is very smooth and the user interface is blazing quick. Launching apps is no issues and multitasking is also super smooth. Now, the only thing that I do find that's a little bit interesting is that some apps, when you haven't used them in a while, they do reload. But I think that's mainly due to the battery optimization. But sometimes it does make me question, is 8GB enough in 2025? Especially when most competitors do have at least 12 or 60GB of RAM. Either way, the performance on the iPhone 16 Pro is still high-end and will last for years to come. Alright, so it's now 5:17 and our battery percentage is now 41%. Let's have a quick chat about the software on the iPhone 16 Pro. And software is the deciding factor between choosing from Android to iOS. Going back to iOS from Android has been quite interesting. I do miss the customizability and the extra features that Android does offer, but I must say I have to appreciate iOS's fluidity and smoothness. But when it comes to Apple Intelligence, I feel very meh about it because most of the functions are pretty useless, especially when it relies mostly on ChatGPT, and the Apple Intelligence Siri has not even come out after what seems like forever when they first announced it. In conclusion, both Android and iOS are becoming more and more similar. Even a lot of the AI features are starting to overlap a lot, but they're both pretty good and there isn't really much to complain from the software side. Everything is pretty much getting ironed out and it's pretty smooth over here. In terms of the features and the design of the iPhone 16 Pro, it's all pretty high-end there with all the usual flagship features, including the camera action button, camera button, which to be honest isn't that useful but has become a trend on a lot of smartphones these days, starting from Apple. But take it as you want, it comes with all the bells and whistles you should expect from a high-end phone, and it's solid. That's about it really. So altogether, features, software and design of the iPhone 16 Pro is all flagship and pretty high-end, but nothing really special or unique, I would say. Anyway, it's now 5:49, battery percentage is at 38%. Let's grab some dinner. Alright, so it's now 8:21, battery percentage is at 26%, time to get home. Okay, so it's currently now 9:47, our battery percentage is at 6%. So let's take a look at the battery performance to see how the iPhone 16 Pro did during the day. So we've had a screen active time of about 5 hours and 14 minutes, and altogether it's alright. Like, it's not anything amazing, it's nothing flagship crazy, but for a compact phone, it's decent enough for most people. This is about what you can expect. So let's wrap up my thoughts about the iPhone 16 Pro altogether after 6 months. This is still one of the best smartphones you can get in this compact size. So altogether, the iPhone 16 Pro is a solid compact smartphone. Now, if you are looking for better specs for value, I would recommend taking a look at the Xiaomi 15, which is probably your best next compact smartphone, or the Pixel 9 or Pixel 9 Pro. But if you are looking for the best compact smartphone out there, the iPhone 16 Pro is basically as close as you can get. So that wraps up my review of the iPhone 16 Pro after 6 months. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm Upwards, and I'll see you guys in the next video.